shoot it down into the Dome of the Rock in Al-Aqsa, destroy what's on what the Israelis call the Temple Mount, and blame the Iranians. Is it beyond imagination that in the fog of war, maybe one of those missiles hits the Dome of the Rock, or we're told that it did? The Al-Aqsa complex is just vaporized. Oops, the Iranians did it. Then we have this debate. It's like a hospital bombing in Gaza. Who did it? Well, it was a booster from a Hamas rocket. Well, how do I know? I wasn't there. All we know is it's gone. Oh, so sorry. Could that happen? Yeah, it could happen. And what happens then? Global religious war. That could happen.
Today, we're joined by one of the most outspoken and widely followed Torah lecturers in the world, Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi. I've personally known Rabbi Mizrahi for almost 20 years, and I've watched his work educating people about Judaism all over the world. But recently, his name suddenly entered a completely different conversation when Tucker Carlson and following Candace Owens began discussing the Third Temple, Chabad, and Jewish beliefs about Jerusalem. Their comments sparked a massive debate online about what Judaism actually teaches about the Temple Mount and the rebuilding of the Third Temple. Rabbi Mizrahi, it's great to have you here.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Rabbi Mizrahi, when you first saw Tucker Carlson discussing the Third Temple and showing a clip from your lecture, what went through your mind?
Not fully surprised because few other anti-Semites were using some of my videos. Of course, they always cut certain parts and they don't show the entire thing to promote their agenda. So this is something that's been going on for the past 2-3 years. So in my mind, I kind of knew that it's just a matter of time until it will get to him and to, to some more famous people. And eventually it happened, as you can see.
Did you feel that Tucker Carlson is misunderstanding Judaism, or do you think that he has other motivations?
I tell you, as you know me, I've been speaking for 30 years, and I always repeat this, that knowing a part of the truth sometimes is more dangerous than not knowing anything. Because when you do not know anything, you don't come and talk and have a talk show about something you have zero knowledge. When you have 20 or 30% knowledge and you think in your mind that you know the entire picture, that's very dangerous because you jump to the complete wrong conclusions. And that's what's happening with this Tucker, that he constantly always find himself reaching the complete wrong conclusion. There's nothing between the truth and his conclusions. He brings some details. Some of them is correct. But when he brings the entire picture and he concludes to his followers, what's the conclusion of that? It's always the opposite of the truth.
Now, Tucker, as you said, he suggested that, religious motivations could be influencing the war in the Middle East. But from a Torah perspective, a Bible perspective, Judaism, is there any truth to that idea?
Absolutely not. We will start with the fact that the government in Israel is totally not religious. The Minister of Defense is not religious. Benjamin Netanyahu is not religious. The generals in the army, none of them is religious, the main ones. So to say that they all put a plan to go into a war because of religious purposes is more than ridiculous. These people are, some of them, anti-religion. They don't even eat kosher. They don't keep the Sabbath. They have zero knowledge in Judaism. The last thing they care about is the temple in Jerusalem. And the last thing they want is to ignite Israel with another intifada with the Arabs of East Jerusalem and the rest of Israel, when they will feel that there is a plan to occupy their mosque and build the third temple. So this is one of the examples that is using something that is completely off. It's nothing to do with the truth. No connection between the truth and what he claims. And he brings it, it's like a fact. It's clear to him that that's the plan. There's nothing to do with the Israeli government or the Israeli army. However, we have to say that as religious Jews, we are praying for the rebuild of the third temple after our temple right there, where the mosque is. We to have the first and the second temple. The first temple was destroyed by the Babylonian Empire around 2,600 years ago. And the second temple was destroyed about 2,000 years ago by the Romans. And since then, we are praying for 2,000 years for God to give us the opportunity for the Messiah to come and build the third temple. Now, I make it very clear to everyone who does not understand this concept We, the ordinary religious Jews, have no permission to build the third temple just because we want it so bad. It's not in our hand. It's not our decision whether we like it, whether we're ready for it. It's not, nobody asks us if it's the time to build it. When the decision will be made by God, that's when the Messiah would come. And one of the things that he will do in the world, after he will purify the world and clean the world from all the wicked people, Jews and Gentiles, there's no discrimination. All wicked people in the world will not have the merit to survive in days of Messiah, as it's written among all the prophets. Also in Kabbalah, which is 2,000 years old, everybody spoke about those days when the Messiah would come and he will clean the world, and only the righteous people and those who repented from their sins against God, Jews and Gentiles, will be able to survive and see the arrival of the Messiah into Jerusalem. And after this final war would happen in a world which will be used to clean all the negative and all the bad things from the world, all the idols and all the abomination and all the corruption and everything that the world right now unfortunately have too much of. So once this stage would be achieved, that's when the building of the third temple will begin. And that's going to be a process of years. It's something that will take a long, long time. Now, at that time, none of the nation will have any resistance to that, because it will be clear now that God sent his messenger and everyone will know the real identity of the Messiah. And unfortunately, many Christians, which are good people, they search for God. They want to be decent people and religious. And they have hopes that the Messiah will be JC. And unfortunately, they'll be very disappointed to see that it's not JC. Also, among Judaism, there are groups who believe that maybe the Messiah will be their rabbi. They will be also very disappointed to see that he's not. Our conditions who can be the Messiah has to be from the family of King David, Messiah, son of David. I discussed that issue in my famous debate with a Christian professor years ago. Anyone who would Google Rabbi Mizrahi debate Christianity versus Judaism will see all the proofs that I showed that professor. I think it leaves no doubt that, everything that is written by the Jewish prophets, that's what's going to happen. And that's when the temple will be built and nobody will resist it, not even the Arabs, because everyone will know that the only divine religion was the book of God, is the Torah. There's no second part. There's no third part. There's no prophets that came after Malachi. Malachi is the last Jewish prophet. As the Babylonian Talmud stated, that there's no more prophecy after that. For the last 2,000 years, therefore Muhammad cannot be a prophet. And all other false beliefs by Gentiles that came later on, which created thousands of cults, and religions that came after the destruction of the second temple. None of them is divine, no connection to the real God. He never gave those books. As in this debate, I show many human errors in the New Testament and many human errors in the Quran and in many other religions and cults. It's a lot of human errors, and God does not make mistakes like people. So when you find mathematical mistakes, archaeological mistakes, and all kinds of genealogy mistakes in a book of the New Testament or the Quran, then you know it's not from God. Once you know it's not from God, everything else you believe that comes from that book, it's not valid. So Tucker and all his followers and other anti-Semites in the world, they have nothing to worry about the Jews planning to build the temple on their own, because we have no permission. As a matter of fact, you know that we are not even allowed to enter the place up there right now when there's no temple, because, we have to wait until the Messiah would come, and we have the ashes of the red cow, and there's a whole ceremony how to purify the people. So we are not even allowed to go there. It's right now, it's a violation of the Jewish law to enter that place for Jewish people. So to think that we have a conspiracy because we want to build the third temple, that's a complete lie. It's not just a mistake. It's an intentional lie. And obviously, when the people follow their hero and he brings them a lot of wrong information, all of them combined come to the wrong conclusion, unfortunately. And that's create a baseless hatred and anti-Semitism and a lot of ugly things that happens and follows that.
Now, Tucker almost certainly did not watch your entire lecture. He probably only saw that clip. Do you remember what you were discussing in that lecture, before that clip, after that clip? What is the context?
In my lectures, I sometimes bring current events, which, describing what's happening right now in the world and how it comply with the words of the prophets or the words of the Gemara, the Babylonian Talmud, that discussed what would happen in the days before the arrival of the Messiah, at the end of days. As a matter of fact, we are working right now on a new film that we are making, The End of Days, which will be good for Jews and Gentiles, to show the whole world what's coming soon. We already started the process with this war. There are many more things to come. So I was talking about the fact that this regime, the Nazi Iranian evil regime that shut down 50,000 of their own people and tens of thousands of injured ones, besides all the prisoners that are being tortured from morning to night as we speak there in Iran. I was talking about the fact that they're shooting hundreds of missiles each time. They shoot more than the previous war, the 12 days war. They were shooting 100 missiles at civilians, at children, at people in kindergarten and schools, hoping to kill as many innocent Jews as they can. So I say that I hope that maybe one of their missiles will fall on the mosque and will ignite a war between them and the Hamas and the Hezbollah and all the other evil Nazis from the Arab side, which Nazi from the first party will fight the Nazis from the second party, and instead of coming to kill us and good Christians, they will kill themselves. What could be more ideal than that? But that, of course, it wasn't really serious. It was just to show that something like this, if God really wanted to bring the Messiah tomorrow, that's probably one of the things that would happen, that one of these things would happen, that the mosque would be vanished in order for us to be able to have the Messiah coming and building the third temple. So, of course, he cut only that part that I was talking about, a Iranian missile falling over there. And of course, it's obviously as an agenda, he's trying to say that the Israeli government has a plan to build a third temple. And then he pushed Chabad movement into that, which is even more ridiculous because they are very, very soft characters. They're not violent. They're not igniting any war. They are busy with all kinds of acts of charity and kindness all over the world, helping people to think that they have connection with the army to plan such a thing. It's insulting. Sometimes you have a person that brings wrong facts, but over here it's really insulting. It's insulting our intelligence that we even have to waste time on such nonsense. So they have no plan to do anything there. The Lubavitcher Rebbe 50 years ago in his speeches say what every rabbi said in the last 2,000 years and what we're praying every day in the synagogues all over the world, that God will give us the merit to return to Jerusalem, to build our temple, that the Spirit of God will return to live among us. It used to be in the time of the temple. By the way, this is a mutual interest to us and the Christians. All Christians who follow their religion also want the temple to be built. The only arguments we have with those Christians is about the identity of the Messiah. They think it will be JC. And we know that it won't be JC. But other than that, if you really look at many of the ethics and the values that Christians teach, comes from Judaism, comes from the Torah, all the kindness and honesty and loving God and prayers and these things and family values. All of these things, we believe in the same thing. The main issue that we have between us and Christianity is the identity of the Messiah. So I'm telling you today, there will be many righteous Gentiles that when the Messiah comes, they keep the 7 laws of Noah. They are righteous Gentiles. They're not evil people. They're not racist. They're not anti-Semites. Racist, I mean, not only against Jews, against all people of color and people of all kinds of other, race. So whatever the case is, you're not allowed to be racist because God made all people in his image and everybody has their job in the world. You cannot, you have to accept everyone. We don't judge people based on their color or based on their nationality. We judge people based on if they're righteous or wicked, regardless if they are Jewish or Gentiles. There are righteous Jews and there are wicked Jews. And there are righteous Gentiles and there are wicked Gentiles. And that's it. Now, one of the sins that Jews and Gentiles have to be very careful not to violate is idol worshiping. In the 10 Commandments, which applies to all the people in the world, that's the morality of the world, that's the basic morality of the entire world, God is warning us in the second commandment that we should not have any other God but him, not a son, not a partner, not another entity. And by the way, that applies also to Jews that wants to worship their own rabbi, whether he's alive or whether he passed already. That's exactly the same violation. There's no discrimination here. Jews today that say that our rabbi is divine and he's the Messiah and everybody has to accept him are no different than Christians who thinks that Jesus is the Messiah. Both of them are wrong. The problem that when they make this mistake, it puts them in a category of idol worshiper. And that's something that God cannot stand, cannot tolerate, and is very, very strict with people, whether they are Jews, whether they are Gentiles, that follow anyone but him. They are actually jeopardizing themselves. And that's one other thing that they cut. One of the Christian show hosts, I don't know exactly his name, but someone sent me that he says that I spoke in one of my speeches and I say, some Christians come to Jews and say, you killed our God. And I say, how foolish it be? How can a human being think that God is possible to kill him? What normal person think that someone that you call him God has no limit, no limitation? What human being can kill a God? Just this ridiculous claim is beyond words. To come to tell anyone in the world, oh, you kill our God, besides the fact that it's incorrect, the Jews never killed JC and the Christian church already apologized for this lie, and they already admitted the Jews have nothing to do with his death. But even if it was the case, if someone was able to get killed by people, that means for sure he's not God and he has zero divine power. That alone proves the point. Now, nobody's making fun at your God or your Messiah or your religion. It's just bringing the facts. If you think that a God is someone that can be killed by people that he created, you are totally off with no disrespect. That's basically it.
Now, why is the Temple Mount such a religious, sensitive site, probably the most sensitive site on earth? Why is there so many global tensions revolving around Jerusalem, but specifically Temple Mount?
Very simple. All three major religions follow the Torah. The Torah, the Christians call it the Old Testament. Part 1, and they claim that God gave part 2, which we know it's not correct. The Muslims accepted the Torah. They are not denying that the Jews received the Torah in Mount Sinai in front of millions of witnesses. By the way, from all the 1,000 religions and cults, the only religion that started in a public event with millions of witnesses, that the entire book is discussing what happened to them in Jerusalem, everything that happened, all the miracles that happened in Egypt, forgive me. So, all the miracles that happened to us in the Exodus of Egypt are all discussed in a book, and the Jews that receiving the book in a public event, they are mentioned in the book. You don't have such thing in other religions. Other religion is Muhammad come to the Muslim and say, I got the Quran from Angel Gabriel, Jibril in Arabic. And I was alone and he gave me this book. And the book doesn't talk about the Arabs that lives in the world at that time. Same thing Christianity. They claim that there is the New Testament. And the people that received the New Testament in the beginning, they are not mentioned in the book. The Torah is the only divine document that speaks about the receivers of the Torah, that they were in Egypt and me, God, took you out and split the water for you and I, took actions against the Egyptians. So in the Torah, which all major religions believe in, it's written that this place, the Moriah Mountain, is the gate to heaven. It's the holiest site in the world. That's when Jacob had the dream where the ladder, the angels go up and down. That's when Abraham took his son Isaac, as God told him, take your son, your only son, the one you love, Isaac, take him to the Moriah Mountain and sacrifice him, and all of those events took place in that place. Now, you should know, this place, if you read the Bible, King David bought this mountain, even though it was ours in the Torah. It was written that God gave us this place and we should build a temple there, as it's written few times in the Torah, to remove any doubt that no nation in the future will come and claim that this property belonged to them. King David purchased this from a Gentile named Arvana. He was from the nation of the Yevusi, one of the 7 nations that lived in Israel when the Jews arrived. when God gave us the land and kicked them out of the land, and it's written all in the Torah. So King David in the Tanakh, he bought this with full price from Arvana Yevusi, and this place belonged to the Jewish people. Just like Abraham brought the cave of the Machpelah in Hebron when when Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are buried. Now, pay attention. Every holy Jewish site, immediately the Arabs and the Muslims arrive to build a mosque there. They know that the Jews have special connection with God. Same thing Christians. So they see what the Jews do and they follow. They learn from us how to pray. The Arabs don't charge interest from each other. They learn the law of modesty from us. They learn the belief in one God. They learn many things from us. Remember, Judaism is 2,000 years before Islam started and 1,300 years before Christianity started. So there's no doubt which religion was dominant all over the world for over 1,300 years before all these religions started to be made by people. Jews were everywhere. Everything the Gentiles know about religion comes from us. The Arabs, as a matter of fact, wouldn't even know who is their father. The only way they know Ibrahim and Ismail, it comes from the Torah, Abraham and Ishmael. They learn it from us. Without us, they wouldn't even know their identity. So now they learn in our Torah that this place is the holiest place. And they saw that the Jews had 2 temples there. And because of our sins, God punished us and sent the Roman Empire and the Babylonian Empire 2 times in history on the same Jewish calendar date, on the 9th day of the month of Av. Both of them, with difference of hundreds of years apart, destroyed our temple. And since the destruction of the second temple, we are praying for 2,000 years for the Messiah to come and redeem us and build the third temple. Until it will happen, we won't start a war with anyone. We will not occupy the mosque. We will not destroy the mosque. We never had any intention to do it. We have no permission to do it. Anyone who claims otherwise mislead his followers. It's a lie. It's a scam. And people, unfortunately, they want to believe what they want to believe. If you are an anti-Semite racist with a Nazi ideology, everything bad that will be told to you about the Jews, right away you adopt. If you love the Jews, everything bad you hear about them, you will defend them. Why? Because people follow what they believe. But we have to stick to the evidence and to the truth, not our agenda.
Now, what Tucker is spreading is obviously a conspiracy theory. Why do conspiracy theories about Jews appear repeatedly throughout history? Why are Jews so often blamed for all the different world events that happen?
Very simple. Imagine a father that have 10 sons, and he one day come in front of the whole family, and he has a special diary, special book of instruction, recommendation for life, what to do, what not to do, with lots of rewards and warning. And he say in front of the 10 sons, this particular son is my chosen son. I want to give him my precious book. I'm choosing him to be mine. I'm holy. He has to be holy. He has to follow these strict restrictions of my book. And as results of that, if he will follow my covenant with him, that son, I will reward him greatly for eternity. And if he won't, I will punish him severely. And once the other 9 sons see such thing, immediately they're jealous. Jealousy, it's a natural thing. Most all people in the world are jealous. Some more, some less, on different subjects. So when the whole world see that God chose the Jewish people and he promised them that he will never replace them with any other nation, he will severely punish them when they doing wrong things. As we can see, nobody suffered more pogroms and Holocaust and were chased by other nations more than the Jews. The Jews suffered tremendously because of their sins. We are not politicians. We must speak the truth, whether we like it, whether it's for us, whether it's against us. The Jews have committed many sins in the last 3,300 years since the Torah was given. They paid a tremendous price for it. But let's not forget that it's written clearly in the book of God that because he swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to give their children the Holy Land and his book and to make them the holy chosen nation, he will never replace them with any other nation, no matter what. He does not have this ability, because if he will replace the Jewish nation with any other nation, that means that he, God forbid, becomes a liar. And God is obviously never going to say a lie. He hates liars. It's written in the Torah, stay away, not just from lies. Not just stay away from liars, stay away from lies. Meaning if you know there is a lie somewhere, stay away from that place. Not only don't lie. Sometimes the Torah said, don't steal. But here the Torah does not just say don't lie. Don't lie, it says in one place. But in another place, it says, stay away from lie. And in another place, it says, someone that is a deceiver, is a liar, is acting sneaky, I cannot stand him. So people like Tucker and all these anti-Semite followers, such as Candice and all the other ones, I don't know exactly their names, they are constantly lying. They are constantly deceiving. They doing it while they know they are lying, which makes it a lot more severe. And unfortunately, eventually they'll have to pay for their crimes against God and against his people. And again, I'm not coming to defend all the Jewish people in the world. Sometimes we do good things, sometimes not. That's between us and our God. We pay the price when it's necessary. But that's not their job to chase us and put us in gas chambers, and some of them are plenty. You know, they've done it a few times in the past, and they pay a tremendous price. For their own good, if they want to go to heaven when they leave the world as Gentiles, Gentiles have heaven, if they keep the 7 laws of Noah and they're not racist, and they're not anti-Semite, and they're decent people, they go to heaven. You don't have to be Jewish to go to heaven. You see, when you come to Muslim, you say, well, if I don't accept Islam, can I go to heaven as a Jew? No, absolutely not. You're going to hell. You come to Christians. If I don't accept JC and Christianity, can I go to heaven as a Jew? No, if you don't accept JC, you go to hell. You come to the Jewish people, the opposite. They tell you, of course you go to heaven. You be a righteous Gentile. You keep the 7 laws as God commanded all people in the world before he gave the Jews the Torah. And you have a share to the world to come. As long as you're not a murderer, not a thief, not an idol worshiper, you believe in one God, you obey the constitution of your place, the law, the police. You don't eat animals unless they dead first. You're allowed to eat everything you want, but you're not allowed to eat creatures that are still alive. Like in China, sometimes they eat all kinds of things that are still moving in the plates. That's a violation that Gentiles are not allowed to do. So, if you keep the 7 laws of Noah, and you are decent people, you go to heaven without becoming a Jew. As a matter of fact, Judaism is the only religion that is not missionary. We don't hunt people. We don't know how to come be a Jew. The opposite. When Gentiles coming, and I've done many conversion over the years with many Gentiles who beg to become Jewish after they watch my debate, the opening statement is always, you don't need to. Stay a righteous Gentile. What do you need the headache? It's much harder to be a Jew than to be a righteous Gentile. If you want to be a righteous Jew, it's a lot more required. And you have a much easier life. You're still righteous and you go to heaven. So some Gentiles were convinced and they remain righteous Gentiles. And some insisted to be, no, I want to be from the chosen people and all of that. But as you know, we're not running after anyone. We are not publishing all kinds of things. We don't send missionaries like the Christians and Muslims do all over the world to convince people to join the religion. We have no interest to run to anyone and force him or to convince him or to brainwash him to become Jewish. No, he can be whatever he wants. He can still be righteous and fulfill his own purposes the way God made him in first place.
Now, what does Judaism teach about the coming of the Messiah? And do you think that we're living in a time that resembles the period before the Messiah comes?
It's written that one day the Messiah will arrive to the world. He will be a righteous person, has to be from the Jewish nation, and it has to be someone from the family of King David. At that minute, he will receive prophecy from God. He will be informed that he is the Messiah. Until that moment, he had no idea. Once he was chosen, he will come and start acting as God will instruct. It's written by the prophets that there will be a final war. It's called Gog Magog. If you read Zechariah 14, every Gentile can read it as well in the Bible. It's written over there, a final war, that 2/3 of the people in the world will die in minutes. In our tradition, we know that it's going to take 12 minutes. 2/3 of the amount of the people in the world, we're talking over 5 billion people, which leads us to understand that we're talking about a nuclear war, that eventually everybody will shoot nuclear at everyone. And at that moment, there will be massive clean out of the world from all the evil, wicked, murderers, thieves, rapists, people who spread lies and propaganda and racism and pogroms and all kinds of things in the world. And many of the Jews, include the Gentiles that are not righteous, will not stay in the world. For instance, a Jew that is not observing the covenant with God, which is the Sabbath. Gentiles don't have to observe the Sabbath, but Jews they must observe the Sabbath. They desecrate the Sabbath, they have a very serious problem. You see, so Jews and Gentiles, if they will be wicked, when the Messiah comes, they will have a very big problem in the world. However, there will be period for the mediocre people. There will be Jews and Gentiles that are not fully wicked, but are not fully righteous. They do a lot of good things for the sake of heaven, and at the same time, they do bad things. It's hard to judge people, and half of what they do is good, and half of what they do is bad. So there will be a grace period of time that these people will see what happens in the world and all the divine miracles, and they will have to take a side. Am I going fully with God and becoming a righteous Jew and a righteous Gentile, and they will survive after some difficult days, or they will, God forbid, will also be vanished from with the rest of the people? Once the world will be purified, there will be no more evil inclination like now, desires for nonsense like now, everybody's desire for materialism and all kinds of pleasures, physical pleasure. It will be a whole different world. The world is going to be different. It's going to be in a level of Adam before he committed the sin, which will be a complete different world. There's not going to be fatigue, no financial problem, no sicknesses, no hatred between the nations. All nations will be in brotherhood. There will be no more army, no more war, no more weapons. You won't need airplanes and bombs. All the things you see now, it's prior to the clean out of the world. So, as like I said, I'm coming up with a book. We'll collect all the words of the prophets, which Christians believe those prophets and Muslims believe it. You can go to the Hamas website. I did it myself. We speak about all the Jewish prophets, and in parentheses, they write, peace be on them. Isaiah, Jeremiah, Joel, Amos, all these prophets, Malachi, they're all mentioned in all three major religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Just read their words, what's going to happen in the world. But one thing I promise all these Gentiles, and half of my listeners are Gentiles. They can testify that I'm not a racist. I don't hate any Gentile. Actually, I love them very much. I judge people if they're righteous or wicked because of where they were born or what accent they have or how they dress. It's the last thing I care about. We have no permission to disqualify people because God made them in a certain way or a certain color. That's a serious crime. You're going to God and say, I disprove your work. I disagree with you making white people or Chinese people or black people. That's nonsense. Everyone who's a racist because of these things, he has a very serious crime in his hand. We don't judge people by their ethnic and by, their race. We only must judge Jews and Gentiles, all people, based on their action. If there is a mass murderer, we have to hate him. We cannot love a Nazi murderer. Someone that spread lies that go against God or against his children or against the Torah or against the oral Torah, which is the Talmud, such as Tucker and his friends, that's not someone that God likes, that's for sure. He's actually going against his own religion. He has no idea. I'm just giving you an example. The last talk that he had, he brought a quote from Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, about Amalek, that we have an obligation to erase Amaleks from the face of the earth. And he said, also, the Iranians are Amalek. So you have to kill all the Iranians, you have to kill children, you have to kill their animals, you have to kill the women, everyone. This is another example of such deceiving lies that he brings and spreads. First of all, the commandments to erase the memory of Amar does not exist for at least 2,000 years. Once there was a king named Sancheriv, he mixed all the nations. There were big wars in the world. The Gentiles in the world got mixed with each other. This was over 2,000 years ago. We do not know anymore who is a descendant of this nation named Amalek. There's no way to know. So therefore, this command is no longer relevant. And besides, if we wanted to kill the Iranians, we could have done it a long time ago. Israel have nuclear bombs. If that was the goal, could be done in 2 minutes. Where do you bring all these lies? We do the exact opposite. We try to release the Iranian good people from this horrible regime who killed 50,000 of them and tortured them and for 47 years. The real victims here is not only Israel and Europe and other countries and the United States. This is the actual Iranian people. When the Iranian Shah was in power, you can see by following his son, the Prince Reza Pahlavi, you can see decent people, intelligent people, love all nations, wants to live in peace and prosperity. In every interview, he said that we have no problem with America, we have no problem with Europe, no problem with Israel, we want to be friends, we want to do business like it used to be. Radical Islam are more extreme than the actual Nazis. People ask me, how do you say in your lecture that these radical Hamas and Iran and Hezbollah and Houthis, they are worse than the Nazis? How can you compare? So I tell you how. If you come to the Nazis in the time of the war when they were killing thousands of Jews every day in gas chambers, if you say to any one of the Nazi generals, you have an opportunity to kill 100,000 Jews by pressing this button, but you're going to lose your hand. Your entire arm will be lost. You're going to left with one hand for the rest of your life. Now, one Nazi would agree to press the button and lose a hand, even though he has an opportunity to kill 100,000 Jews, which he despises very much. But if you come to a Hamas terrorist and you tell them you can kill 100,000 Jews by pressing the button, you're going to lose an arm. You say, you're kidding me? To kill one Jew, I'm willing to lose my arm. Actually, I'm willing to die and bringing my 10 sons with me. All of us should die to kill one Jew. Needless to say, 100,000. They hate us so much. They are blinded by this religion that they preach to them. Okay, by the way, a lot of the things that they believe in it's not written in the Quran. Actually, in the Quran, it's written clearly that the land of Israel belonged to the Jews. Muhammad died 73 years before they came to fight the Byzantines, the Christian Byzantine in Jerusalem. He actually said to his follower, I want you to go and take revenge for the people that killed your father. This was 73 years after Muhammad died. He never fought for Jerusalem. Jerusalem is not mentioned even one time in the entire Quran. It's mentioned hundreds of times in the Jewish Bible, but not one time in the Quran. Everything they tell them are all lies about Israel and about the Jews and about the land and the Palestinians. This is another scam. It's a made-up nation. There was no Palestinians until when Yasser Arafat started the PLO. Yasser Arafat himself is from Kuwait. All Arabs that lived in Gaza were from Egypt and Jordan and Syria and Iraq and Kuwait and other countries. There's no such nation. They never had a representative in the United Nations. They never had any history books, nothing. This word Palestinians came from the Romans. The Romans called Israel Palestina because there used to be a different nation called Philistines, which are no longer exist. Philistines are not Arabs. So the British adopted this name and called Israel Palestina. As a matter of fact, the Jews that lived in Israel before Israel became a state, they also called them Palestinians. Our grandparents in their passport used to say Palestinians. Why? Because the British called Israel Palestina after the name the Romans gave 2,000 years earlier. Nothing to do with the Arabs. They adopted that name, and the entire anti-Semite world adopted that scheme to say that the Jews are the occupier, which is the exact opposite. Everybody knows, Christians and Muslims, they all know the land belongs to Israel. It's written in their own books. It's written in the Torah that they are not denying. But everyone cooperate with that scheme against the children of God, and they are going to severely pay for that one day. They're not going to get away with that. Individually, each one of them, and as nations.
And just to add to what you're saying, the Nazis, they wanted to cover up their crimes. They didn't want to show what they did. Hamas on October 7th, they live streamed doing.
They brag about it.
They were bragging about it.
Not only they brag about them. A few months ago, one American teenager, maybe 18 years old, went with a camera and a microphone in Gaza and asked maybe 30 boys and girls, older, younger, male, female, every one of them about October 7th, And this is, remember, this is after the entire Gaza is almost destroyed. And they are suffering from the Hamas themselves. Sometimes they have good food, sometimes they don't have enough food, and they don't live in their houses anymore. They live in tents with no electricity and all that. After what they have to go through and all this struggle as results of the war, not almost one of them regret October 7th. They still say it's the happiest day of our life. They're willing to take all torture just to hurt the Jewish people. That's their purpose in the world. One of them say, if you take away our weapon, it's like taking away our soul. Can you make peace with people like this? I'm asking you. Can make peace between two civilized individuals, that have an argument about something, they reach an agreement, they split, and that's the end of it. And then they respect each other after that. But here, they tell you in your face, we won't rest until we kill all of you. And there's nothing else in our life besides. And unfortunately, all kinds of Americans here among the Democratic parties and among the Republican Party now, unfortunately, also following them, are being used by these radical Muslims to serve their agenda. You see, Tucker is protecting Iran and Qatar. The two countries for decades put hundreds of billions of dollars to sponsor all the terror, all the chaos, and all the massive terrorism all over the world, not only against Israel and against the Jews, it's against Europeans, against Americans, against India, against many countries. They are behind everything. They paid for everything. They sponsor the entire Hezbollah, the Jihad, the Hamas, and many other terror organizations all over. They torture the Saudis. You see what they do to Arab neighbor countries. They have a dream to kill everybody that it's not like them. You see, Tucker doesn't understand, and also Candice and all their followers, they don't just want to see me and you dead and our children. They want to see them dead just as much. Once they finish with us, right away, without waiting a minute, they come after Tucker and Candice and all their friends. They'll kill all their gays, and they'll kill all the American people, even the Muslims, because they're not Muslims enough. They're not an extremist. Someone like Mayor Mandani, the mayor of New York, will be one of the first people they'll kill because he's a socialist communist. It's against Islam. Someone like him that protect gay rights and all kinds of things, and that's the first one they want to kill. But for now, they're using him to spread propaganda all over the world. They're occupying one city after the other. President Trump is God's messengers in this critical time to save humanity. Not just Israel, to save America. Because if the Iranian will have a nuclear bomb, that's the end of America as well. They're not going to think twice. The next thing you wake up and New York is wiped out, or Los Angeles. If they had the ability, it's not just Israel. So that's what they don't understand. America is fighting for Israel. No, America is fighting for humanity, for decency, for the future of the world, for the future of American kids. Enough with these lies and the propaganda that they spread. We have to resist it very strongly.
Yeah, in 1979, when they overthrew the Shah, you had the liberals and the lefties joining with the Islamists. They overthrew the Shah, and afterwards, who were the first person killed? The liberals and the lefties. So that is...
I want to remind you that in October 7, they killed 1,200 Jews. Most all of them are extreme leftists. Almost all of them. There was almost no righties died. Only extreme leftists, people like Bernie Sanders and Chuck Schumer and their friends. They are those villages right next to the border. They helped them. They helped the Hamas. They brought them into hospitals. They got gifts to their children. They gave them work in their villages and in their homes. They were so nice to them. They gave their heart for these Arab Palestinians. And what happened? They came and burned them alive. They raped them. They put their babies in the microwave. They make fun. They took videos as they kidnapped the Israeli boys and girls out. They tortured them for 2 years under the ground there. They have no God. They pretend they are religious. Someone religious is not a mass monster murderer. It cannot be. Any murderer cannot call himself a religious person. You go after people in the street. You hit them with a car. You shoot them. You gas them. And you call yourself religious, it's ridiculous. But as you can see, a lot of naive people and a lot of other anti-Semite people joining this propaganda in universities with the sponsorship of Qatar and Iran, Because everybody has his own agenda. Anti-Semite wants to see the Jews suffer. They don't understand that by doing that, they're actually hurting themselves because they are coming next. These gays that stands in colleges and scream Free Palestine, not even knowing what it means, they are the first one that these Arabs standing next to them will chop their head off as soon as they'll have the opportunity. How dumb you could be to stand next to someone and his ideology means to take you and chop your head to pieces. And you stand and support him? What do you think? He's going to become your friend? So hopefully Americans will wake up and see that people like Tucker and his followers are leading them to self-destruction in this world and in the next world. And it's about time they'll wake up. And I hope they'll see my words and understand that you're not doing me a favor or to the Jewish people. Think about your own future and your own children and your own world to come. If you want to find favor in the eyes of God, first thing you have to do is not to hurt his children. That's number one. And be a righteous Gentile, and you have a very nice world to come in heaven, and you don't have to be Jewish for that. And obviously, I think I made it pretty clear for everyone who wants to follow the truth.
Now, October 7th was a wake-up call for Israel, the Jewish nation. Do you believe that people have woken up spiritually? What do you see since October 7th? You visited Israel many times. What changes have you seen in Israel and out of it?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, the nature of people all over the world, that they wake up to search for God in difficult time. It's written in the Torah, by the way, that once you're going to be under stress and everything will be surrounding you and you feel the pressure, you will search for the God and you will repent. And as a result of your repentance, he will have mercy on you and save you. So you can see in the words of God himself, when people are successful financially and they're healthy and they have nice children, they're not so eager to search for God and pray and follow his instructions because everything is working well. When do they wake up? When the doctor calls and say, we're very sorry, you have to come to an MRI, or we worry you have cancer or heart attack or this. That's when they wake up. Oh, please, God, no. And all of a sudden the rabbis get a call or the priest, and they want to finally search how can I fix the situation in a spiritual way. This is the nature of all people. Now, I, as someone who speaks for 30 years, can tell you that the last 2.5 years since October 7th were the most successful time in my career. What I've done in a year now, I probably couldn't do in 5 years before, or maybe even more. Everybody's open now. People are broken. People's entire dream was shattered, and they realize that all our belief that the government would save us and the army would save us and this and that, with no disrespect to the Israeli army or to the American army, they do their job faithfully. They try very hard and they pay a price for it. And we're very grateful to them, to all the soldiers, everyone, everywhere. But we understand that in the end, it's God's decision. As great as the army will be, if God doesn't want us to succeed, nothing will help. And if he doesn't want us to get hurt, the army won't be so relevant. If God wants us to be safe, he'll give the army the ability to do wonders. Just like, as you can see, since October 7th, the Israeli army, and now with the American army, performing operations that nobody ever heard about. Intelligence, Mossad, CIA, finding all these Nazis under the ground, blowing out their papers, things that nobody ever heard about. Obviously, it's the hand of God to help the good side win, overcoming the evil side. But yes, a lot of people are waking up. People are more sad, some even broken and depressed. And when a person is in this situation, he's going to search for God. Now, you know me, the way I'm able to educate people to become religious is not by telling them if you be religious, things will be good. No, that's not my technique. I prove that the Torah is divine. It can never be written by human being. I show things that are written in a book that no human being was able to know, definitely not 300 years ago when we receive it. I show in the oral Torah, in the Gemara, in the Talmud, all kinds of prophecies and things that the sages spoke about and the prophets, and I show all kinds of hidden secrets in the creation that no one was able to know back then without computers and telescope and microscope. and satellites and things that we have today, we can discover it easily. But 300 years ago, nobody was able to know about it besides the creator of the world. Now, when I come to people and within an hour or two, just like everyone who watched my film, Torah and Science, in many languages, in English, in Hebrew, Russian, French, many other languages, you see the books. You have no doubt. Once you see such a film, you know the book is divine. Once the book is divine, all you have to do is to read what's written. And then you begin to understand how far you are from the truth of God and from the purpose of life. Whether you are Jewish, whether you are a Gentile. Because remember, the Torah is a divine book that was given in a public event, and all Gentiles in the world were shocked that the God of Israel took them out of Egypt, and 7 weeks later gave them the Torah, and the whole world was shocked about it. And until today, everyone knows and understands the importance of this book, the divine book, and many other civilizations following this book directly and indirectly. And even the Constitution in the United States, many of the laws that we have here comes from the Torah, in many other countries. So obviously, yes, people are more open now to hear, but at the same time, the evil, wicked people, whether they are Jewish, whether they are Gentiles, are now pushing with full force. And that's exactly what the Torah told us that will happen before the Messiah will arrive. The middle, the people that are 50-50 will be forced to choose a side. You with me or you against me? There is no, I am biased, I'm not involved. Like the Europeans are trying to be not involved now in a war. God will force them to be involved. I think the Arabs, they want Israel and the United States to do the job for them. But what they don't understand is that Europe is already destroyed. Every country in Europe is already taken by radical Muslims. It's just a matter of time until they will start pogroms against those Christians in France and in England and in Greece and in Holland, in all these countries, Germany, and Spain, and there's nothing you can do about it. Because there's going to be millions of savages, murderers, cruel people. They will burn, they will shoot, they will put bombs. It will be a disaster. And that's when they will understand that the war of this radical Islam is not just against the Jewish people, it's against everybody. It's also against Muslims. I can tell you, guarantee that at least half of the Muslims in the world suffer from the radical Islam just as much as Jews and Christians. Every time they go on the airport, every time they go on a plane, they have to take them to the room, they have to open their stuff, people look at them, people are nervous around them, and some of them are good people. They're not murderers, they're not pro-terror, they want to just be decent people and live their life peacefully with other nations. And they also pay the price. They are the victim of this fake religion and all these fake imams that wants to see everybody dead. So, now it's the final war between good and bad. We will see how it progresses. We know already how it will progress. The rest of the world will learn as it's happening in front of their eyes.
Mizrahi, I want to thank you for your time. If you have any final message you want to send to, Jewish people and non-Jewish people, what would that final message be?
The final message is people who know Judaism, we know they should know that every day we pray 3 times for the whole world, for Jews and for Gentiles. When the Talmud speaks negative against Gentiles, is always only against idol worshippers, not against other Gentiles. As a matter of fact, there are so many compliments about Gentiles. Many of the great Gentiles converted to Judaism. The father-in-law of Moses was a Gentile, Jethro. Moses' wife was a Gentile, Zipporah. She took her and adopted her to the Jewish nation. Many of the rabbis in history were Gentiles. There's no discrimination against any Gentile in the world. We follow who is righteous and who is wicked. We pray 3 times for the peace in the world. We have no intention to hurt anybody. All are fighting. Unfortunately, it's all self-defense. As you can see, if the Arabs would put their weapon down and leave us alone, that's it. There's not going to be one gunshot. You won't need an army. Everything we do is just to survive. Without an army, you saw what happened for a few hours when the army was asleep on October 7th. That's what they want to do to us every day. Every day they're trying to do October 7th. It never stopped until now. We keep catching terrorists. So we are fighting for our survival. But to conclude, don't let anyone brainwash you. Don't let people like Tucker, they get paid by, I don't know, Qatar, and obviously they're not following their own truth. They follow those who pay them and give them sponsorship and private jet, and they make a lot of lies, and now Amalek and all these lies that he makes every week, he comes up with another nonsense that he makes up, and people fall into this trap. Don't let these people brainwash you. Listen to the word of God. You can listen to my lecture on divineinformation.com. You have in any topic you can think of. My lectures have a lot of Gentiles. You can see in the comments, many. We give them respect and love. Thousands of Gentiles can testify that. You can see in the comments that they write. I answer them personally. When I get their emails, they email me to rabbimizrahi@gmail.com. I try to answer everybody, and, it's the time to join and to unite and to stick to the positive side of the world, to fight evil, to fight the Nazi murderers, to fight Iran and to fight Qatar and countries that wants to destroy everything in the world. President Trump is doing a great job. Senator Ted Cruz is on the right side. Rubio is on the right side. There's few other very righteous Gentiles in American government, and we have to stick to the people that do the right thing and give them support. I cannot be ungrateful to people who sacrifice their entire life and efforts to save the world from this evilness, and we are asleep and not only don't help them, to condemn them. So we have to be very careful. We have to repent. We have to change our evil way. We have to fight our evil inclination every day, every hour. It's a mission. It doesn't matter. It's not just for Jews. Christians and Muslims and other Gentiles, they all have their evil inclination. Everyone has to fight it. It's one of the purposes of life. And hopefully soon, when the Messiah would come, we will be able to see all those things that I mentioned here today and much, much more to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Mizrahi, for your time. We truly appreciate it, and I'm sure that our audience will learn a lot from everything that you said in the past hour.
Blessing to you and to all your listeners. Thank you so much.